I'm Matty Jeff, and the NHRA New England Nationals come to New England Dragway in Epping, New Hampshire, this Friday through Sunday. And I am joined on the line right now by your top fuel points leader, Steve Torrence. How you doing today, bud?
I'm good. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing well. We're looking forward to having you up here in the Northeast at the New England Dragway this coming weekend. And I got to ask you first off, what does it feel like physically to go 332 miles an hour, which is your record speed, actually 332.10?
There's really no way to describe that. That's probably one of the most commonly asked questions. There's no relevance of speed. I got a white wall beside me and a yellow stripe in the middle, so they look the same no matter how fast you go. It's not like you're passing trees. What really is impressive is that we pull almost 6 Gs of acceleration. So it's like when you hit the gas on a top fuel dragster, it's like sitting at a stop sign and getting rear-ended by an 18-wheeler. I mean, it pushes you back in the seat. It crushes you. And it's moving faster than you can think there for a little bit. I mean, it's the most intense, quickest, fastest accelerating land vehicle in the world.
So do you have to do anything special to prepare yourself physically for that?
You know, other than just be almost sane but not quite, that's probably the only requirement.
So do you ever get aggravated, like if when you're just driving to the supermarket, like going 35, you'd be like, you know what, this could be so much faster, this whole process?
Brother, I drive a 4-door, 1-ton dually, so that thing's not going to get going too fast. There's really no comparison.
Oh, I can imagine. So I'm going to have a little fun with you. Got some fun questions to ask, but also before we get to that, it's pretty cool that your dad Billy still races with you every weekend.
We do. He doesn't race every weekend with me, but when he does come out, it's pretty intense.
So is it your dad that got you into racing, or was it a combination of your dad and just being part of the whole lifestyle?
My dad got me into racing. The whole thing just kind of was laid out for me. I mean, that's what I do. Was I was going to go racing with my dad, and I never really thought anything other than that. I raced with him growing up, and
it was just life.
And went to the racetrack, so that was my role.
All right, so I want to have a little fun with you, Steve. Because there's some personal favorites of mine, some racing movies. And I want to ask you, which of these three is the greatest racing movie of all time? Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights, or I'm going to pull a wild card out here for you. Have you ever seen the movie Six Pack with Kenny Rogers?
No, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you it's Days of Thunder, without a doubt.
There we go. Well, Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, legendary lineup. And, I mean, that movie came out, too, just when NASCAR was exploding with Dale Sr. and everyone, right?
It did. And, one of the best lines of that movie was when he told him, he said, go out there and I want you to hit the pace car.
I do remember that. All right, here's another good one for you, because I know you're well aware of the famous Dodge Charger from Dukes of Hazzard or the Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit. If you have to choose which car to have in your garage, which one you choosing, Steve?
Smokey and Bandit all the way.
I got to agree with you, man. That car was badass, right?
It is, and I mean, Burt Reynolds, he's the ultimate badass. So, in the event, I've actually threatened a couple times to buy one of those old Trans Ams and just, you got to have the cowboy hat with the feathers on the front and the old pearl snap shirt. You just got to fit the whole program if you're going to own one of those cars.
And you remember from the movie, the Bandit only takes his hat off when he does one thing, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk about the season. Last year you were runner-up for the top fuel points, and now you're leading the points race right now. Has the approach changed at all from last season to this season, or you just think it's a natural progression? You're where you should be now?
No, it hadn't changed. I mean, it's just part of it. Last year was a really tough year with the way that things went on and the way that they ended. But, at the end of the day, we went out and dominated pretty seriously, 80% of the season. So when we had the wreck in Dallas and it took the momentum out of us and didn't win the championship, it made you reevaluate. But I think we come back with more intensity and more focus and more drive than ever before. I think that the results are showing that we're 30% on wins in the drag racing world. That's pretty high.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice too. You're pretty fired up. When it comes down to you guys and kind of the team environment you're in, like you guys are one of the smaller teams, but you're dominating pretty well. Is there any secret to that, or it's just the same thing, that intensity and that will to win?
It's all intensity and will to win. I've said it a bunch to some other people. If you want to win, it just takes hard work and dedication to get there. And if you don't have that, then you don't want to win.
Well, I think that's one of the things people will see in person. Like maybe you could tell someone who's listening right now, they've probably seen NHRA on TV, you know, followed the sport. But what would you say to that person who's coming to check out this event in person for the first time? What can they expect?
Well, I mean, if you've never been to an NHRA drag race, you just haven't experienced life to its fullest, because it's the most intense, in-your-face, raw form of power that is just muscle flexing, face peeling, you know, testosterone at its finest, and they're fire-breathing monsters, and that's what, I mean, you just haven't lived if you've never seen one of them in person. No,
and not just the power, the speed, too. I bet in person that's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, anytime you see a vehicle go 334, 335 miles an hour in less than 4 seconds and not come off the ground, it's pretty impressive.
We're on the phone with Steve Torrence, your points leader right now, the NHR Top Fuel Series. What sets you guys apart from all the other motor racing and, you know, motorsports that are out there? What is there one other extra thing besides the raw speed and the powers, or something else?
At every drag race, every ticket is a pit pass. So if you come in the gate and you get in and you get a ticket, you get to come up close and personal with all the crew guys, all the drivers. Stand at the back of the trailer right there at the ropes and watch us work on the car. We'll service that whole we'll service an entire Top Fuel engine in 28 to 32 minutes.
Wow.
From the time that we run till the time that we fire it back up to warm it up. And when you get to interact with the driver, with the fans, and just have that relationship, it's a lot different than any other form of motorsports. You're not really privy to that in other arenas.
It's a really unique experience. And if someone disagrees with you, if they would have gone with the Dodge Charger from Dukes of Hazzard, they could come and talk with you about that personally.
Yeah, because the Duke boys, they weren't nearly as cool as the Bandit.
I got to agree with you, man. One of my favorite movies of all time. Hey, Steve Torrence, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And you can see Steve in person, the NHRA New England Nationals at New England Dragway this weekend, Friday through Sunday. You get more info at NHRA.com. Hey, Steve, best of luck at the rest of the season. We hope you come out on top this year.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.